Good afternoon and welcome to this week's page. I am doing a page in brown this week and I've used a cut file here which is Let the Adventure Begin. I've cut this out on the brown paper and the cut file is part of it's a pear tree cut file. I'm doing this as part of a challenge for the Pear Tree Facebook group, and this title just seemed to encaption the picture. So the picture is of a coffee with a heart going through it, and it says, "Coffee from my on-campus cafe after my first lecture, well worth £3." So this was my son back last year, in September of last year, after his first biology lesson. He went and bought himself this coffee, so apparently it was worth it. So that's what the adventure is. The adventure is going off to university and starting a new life. So I cut out the cut file. I did do it so that it would go mostly across the page, so it was a very big title, but so as not to waste any space, I wanted to use this as a frame on this page. So I thought that way I won't waste this. I like to try to reuse as much of the parts of cut files as I can. I did think I'd perfectly backed this. It was quite a mare, this actually. I did think I'd perfectly backed it. The writing was a tad longer than I had expected, and when I turn this over I noticed that there on that corner you can see where the E was cut, so it's two very ends of the E. So I'm having to take this off, hence why I use washi tape on the back of these cut files and things when I'm sticking them on, so that I can move it when I make a mess of it. And I'm still making a mess of it, so I really did have a bit of a faff with this one and kept moving it for a while. So I was really pleased that I didn't end up ripping the piece of paper, because the colour was just absolutely perfect for a coffee. It was just the perfect brown sort of colour that I wanted. I did want a little bit bolder line at the bottom, which is what I pointed to there. And I kept moving the title around because I wasn't sure whether I wanted it on the top, at the bottom, in the middle, 3/4 of the way up. So I have kind of pretty much decided here, but I wanted to make sure that the title was going to be fully on the white, so I keep lifting this up and moving it a little bit. So now that I've got it in place, I am going to glue it from one side so that I glue it exactly where I want it, and don't move it and then find that I need to faff with it again. So I'm starting at one side of the cut file and gluing that down, making sure that's exactly where I want it, and then I come in with from the other side, so that, as I say, it stays where it is. Now, this challenge was to use a cut file from Pear Tree, and also to do some stamping, and I believe the other element was to do some hand drawing. So I thought this cut file would be perfect for a little bit of hand drawing, for a little bit of Zen tangling in the words. So I thought that was absolutely perfect. And I also, I needed to use some doodling, so the Zen tangles and also the hearts that I draw go into that doodling and doodling hearts. So I've cut the words out, and now I am just pulling things like the R, the B, the D and the A off the page. I've put the solid B inside the B, and this is just to work out exactly where the center of the B goes, and then I'm going to pull that off. So then you've got a perfect B with all the cutouts in the right place, and then I come and I do exactly the same thing to the A and to the D, so that the bit that I want is in the right spot. So I stick that in place, I get some glue to actually glue the bit that I'm keeping, pop that down and then remove the center, and there it moved. So that wasn't very helpful. And I'm doing exactly the same with the A. So then the title is solid. So now I'm just thinking about where I'm going to do some drawing, and I'm just thinking I might put a banner from across the top and do a little bit of doodling. So I've just popped those ends that I cut off onto the brown paper, because if I was going to do that, I would not want to draw on the brown. But then I decided, actually, no, I'm not ready to do my doodling. I'm not really sure exactly what it is I'm going to doodle. So I have some stamps of a coffee cup and a coffee bean, which I thought that I would put on here. And doing the coffee cup with a Versamark and with some brown wallpaper. So I've just used that piece of pink paper to show where my photograph is going to go, and I want to stamp right to the edge of where the photo is going to go. And now I'm popping down the wallpaper powder and tapping off any excess, and I've got a really soft brush. This is actually a Body Shop makeup brush, but it's a really soft brush to get rid of any fine little bits that are sat elsewhere that might then, when I get out my heat gun and heat it up, it might stick to the page. So this is a really nice dark chocolate brown color, and looks quite nice because it looks like the darker chocolate in the photograph. I'm just going to tidy up the extra powder so that that doesn't go everywhere. And I also have some coffee beans, which I thought would be nice next to that, and they're going to be popped on the page with a light brown so that it matches the rest of the colour of this page. And I'm going to stamp to the side, and again I'm going to bring in that piece of paper so I know exactly where I'm stamping, so my photograph goes on there perfectly. Actually, I didn't really need to do that because I could stamp and then the photograph could cover it. My problem is that I then stamp, when I go to stamp freehand, I just stamp it too far away and it doesn't end up where I want it. So that's why I did it that way. I have now decided that I'm not going to do a chain as I was. I'm just going to do a border around the edge, doodle a border around the edge, and I'm also going to add some drawing within my writing, just to sort of bring this up a little bit more. So I'm just doing the edge there, and then I'm thinking about Zentangles, so I'm going to do some Zentangles within the writing as well. I just put a couple of little hearts there because that ties in with the hearts that are in, or the heart that is in the coffee cup. And I got my camera on my phone out, should I say, and to give me some idea of what sort of things that I should do to this. So I do some swirls and some lines and spots and all sorts of things in these in the title here. Unfortunately, whilst I was midway through this, my camera decided to stop recording, so I didn't actually record me doing all of these inside of the letters, but I have done every single one of the letters and a different sort of pattern in each one. This is because it was being added to a challenge on the Mind the Scrap page, as well as for the challenge for the Pear Tree cut files. And so the Pear Tree cut file was a pair of things, and the things that I chose were doodling and hearts. And one of the challenges on the Mind the Scrap was to do some doodling on a page, so they kind of tied in and gave me an opportunity to do 2 challenges in one, kind of like those buy one get one free offers. Just did 2 pages and was able to pop them into 2 different challenges. And I do love the way this page is turning out. The cut file is absolutely gorgeous, cut out perfectly, and as I say, it looks quite different. It's not something that I would normally do in the doing the Zentangles. It is something that I do like the look of, but I'm not a fan of my own drawing and doodling, or my own penmanship, should I say. So it's not something that I do very often, but I just thought it would just add something a little bit special to this page and give just a little bit more wow factor to the cut file. So I got out here my chameleon pen, although I did regret it because the chameleon pen smudged a little bit onto the cut file. So I did regret that a little bit. So here you go. All my writing has been done. I've filled in every part of the title, and I'm just coming in with finishing touches now, sticking my photograph down and getting in with some journaling. So I'm just doing my lines now, so that I can do my journaling. And as I'm doing the page all in brown, I am using a brown pen here to put my journaling in. So I'm just documenting the date, and also that this was a treat for my son after his very first lecture at university. A little bit of a milestone to remember. He was sending me photographs of things that he was up to during his first year at university, so we'll see if that continues this year. And now I'm coming in with the final touch, as always, is my little cat. I really love how this page has turned out. I think the coffee cups look absolutely fantastic with the wow powders, and the title with the pear tree cut file is fantastic, and like the way that the doodling came out as well. It's not something I do often, so I was pleased with that. Hope you've enjoyed the video. See you next week. Bye.